Well, hello and welcome to our front yard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. This is episode number 35 for 2024. We're now up to October. You know what? I don't even know what day it is. I guess this must be the 4th. It is a Friday, early afternoon. I typically do these a little earlier in the day, but the morning glories are about done now, so there's not much to show of those. And now that our clematis have come back, we're seeing quite a few of those here on our mailbox bed. So this is a good time, even though it's overcast. It's about 75 degrees, very pleasant, no breeze at all. For those of you who did not see our video last week, we did survive the hurricane intact. Certainly a lot of damage near here, especially north of here up into North Carolina, but we escaped without any damage, with the exception of some of our tall, gawky zinnias, which broke off. But if that's the worst thing that happens, that's hardly a complaint. So we'll go through what's left of the garden at this point, see what's going on. I don't think there's a whole lot of change other than more of these Giacomini clematis coming out since last week. Hopefully they'll be out for a while. I see quite a few buds, so we've got at least another couple of weeks to go, maybe through the end of the month if we're lucky. And in addition, in this garden we have a lot of vinca. They are starting to show the effects of being late in the year. We're not seeing as many flowers right now. Some of the leaves are yellowing a little bit. Last year I seem to remember more flowers at this time of the year, but they're not dead yet, and I do see some buds on here, so we'll see what comes in the next few weeks. Zinnias have certainly peaked. We do have some flowers still coming out, various colors, mostly variations of pink. Most of the other colors, the yellows and whites and reds, are largely finished up, although if I look closely enough I can see a couple red ones in bloom, even a couple of orange ones down there. And certainly the number of flowers that's coming out right now is far fewer than before. The plants themselves really start to look pretty unpleasant by this time of the year. A lot of the leaves are dying, but as long as they produce color, we're happy with that. So we're gonna let them keep going probably until the first frost, whenever that turns out to be. Last year it was mid-October. Hopefully this year it'll be later than that, because as soon as we get that first frost, things really start to die off very quickly, and there isn't a whole lot to show. More vinca up here. These are not as robust maybe as they were last year, or certainly not as much as they were last month, but still doing pretty well. They got a late start. A lot of these came up from seed, so they really didn't get going until midsummer, but they're looking really good right now. And of course our little miniature knockout rose here, it really kind of died back during the hot days of summer, but right now it's doing pretty well. A lot of nice blooms on it, and pretty good color for the leaves. It was suffering with black spot during the hotter days, but a lot of new leaves have taken their place, so it's looking pretty nice. Over in here, more vinca. These actually are a little bit bigger plants, nicer flowers. A few dianthus still hanging on. Overall, this has been blooming to some extent since spring. It's not full of flowers, but it's certainly doing pretty well for the most part. And I think in the last couple of weeks I had mentioned this climbing rose having been done for the year, but it is still putting out a little bit of color. Got these beautiful blood red roses on it, and there are a couple more buds to go. So it's lost most of its leaves for this year through black spot, although it's trying to put out some new ones. Probably won't be enough time. We'll probably get a frost before we get to that point, but nevertheless, it's fun to watch. Here we have a nice moth having a little snack on his zinnia flower here. Kind of an interesting sort of moth. He's got a little green body, and he is not shy. He does not care that I'm right here, which is kind of cool. The only other thing in this bed, certainly we've got lots of black-eyed Susans doing well, kind of peaking right now. They'll start to die off pretty soon. And we do have one huge dahlia here that is looking really nice. That's about the only one blooming right now. We have some others down here, which some of them fail to open, like this one, and then others are still getting ready to open. And one at the very bottom here, almost down to the ground, that's doing fairly well. It needs to open up a little bit more. These fell over during the storm, along with their little cage. I can try to put that back up. It has not been too agreeable. We'll see if it stays up. That's a little bit better. And over here, as I say, some zinnias. There's our little moth friend again. Little pink zinnias. And over into the shady part of the garden, not a whole lot to talk about. The hydrangeas now finally starting to lose what color they had left, just sort of fading from the dull red to a brown as we get closer and closer to winter. Up in here, our citrus grove is doing pretty well. Big lemon tree, about 4 years old. It has put out flowers, but nothing recently. It is getting some nice growth on it. I've been trying to fertilize it and getting some sprouts, so it's still doing okay. Just needs to put out some flowers. Orange still has not put out flowers, even though it's up to the ceiling here. The ones that are the most prolific right now are these little tiny lemon trees that I've gotten at a bargain over at Home Depot. These were flowering a week or two ago. Unfortunately, it was the only plant around, so none of them got fertilized, and it's going to be the same thing with these, which are going to bloom soon. And over here, but when it's only one plant at a time, it does not facilitate getting fertilized and getting fruit out of it. So maybe next year. I come from Ohio, and that's the rally cry for the Cleveland Indians. Maybe next year. And that's kind of the way a lot of our garden is. Some things have done well, things that involve flowers, but things that involve fruits or vegetables never quite seems to work out. That's not really our forte. We're more flower gardeners. Speaking of which, about the only thing going on over in this bed here are azaleas. We've got a couple of these really nice bright pink ones doing really well, getting their second wind. Then we have one here with a kind of a darker reddish color, just a couple of blooms on that. And then this one up here, kind of a cross, a pinkish red, lots of blooms on this one. Of course, these are primarily pink. These are primarily spring flowers, but this year we're getting some involvement in the fall as well. And we got a couple hydrangeas here that are slowly fading out. Hostas are done. Irises are long since done. Our butterfly bush and our knockout roses all done. So not gonna go past those, but we'll come back over to this section to finish up. Some more vinca, salvia, just about finished. These got their second wind. These are primarily spring flowers, but they did come out again here in the fall, and they're about done. More vinca, more zinnias. These zinnias are doing a little bit better. They're a little smaller. They're not so out of control like the others. One dahlia here, not looking so hot. And then these little blue flowers, and I've shown these off before. Don't know what they are. They're awfully cute though. They have spread kind of like vines all over the this bed, and this is the only place in the yard that we have them. But they've put out lots and lots of these deep blue flowers, and they're really unusual in that sense that we don't really have anything else in the garden that has that particular shade of blue. We do have some phlox here, some climbing roses, up on this trellis. Still blooming every once in a while. This one has not been prolific, but it's been consistent. And what I mean by that is we'll get about every 2 or 3 weeks, we'll get 2 or 3 really pretty coral colored roses off of it. And then it'll be quiet for a while, and then they'll come out again. And it's been blooming off and on since probably about April, I would say. Got a nice bright red here on the zinnias. Lots of orange back in here. A lot of those are sort of hidden by the just everything else. These are particularly nice zinnias. And then this kind of a pinkish red. These have sort of peaked a little bit. We're also coming back over here. We're getting some flowers on our knockout rose. We have 3 of them, kind of a medium pink, and then a red, more of a reddish color, and then a coral over here. And again, they're primarily spring plants, but you get little bits of color sprayed throughout the year. And then covering this coral one is a type of morning glory. This time of day, there's nothing blooming, but you can see lots and lots of buds. These are very small flowers, not the typical morning glory appearance. I'll try to do a morning video again next time, and we can see those. Another one of our little coral roses here. And not much else on the back side. Again, most of the front yard is spring oriented. We've just got a couple little things like dianthus, a few flowers scattered about here, and a few more of those blue wildflowers that I was showing earlier. But everything else, all of our irises and other climbing roses and monarda, they're all done for the year. So that's pretty much a summary of our our front yard. Mostly a spring front yard. We're going to do our backyard video here in a minute and show that off. There's a little more to see there. That tends to be paced throughout the year so that we get color all through. So we'll go there next, and until next time, I hope it's sunny wherever you are, and happy gardening.